Hello, Squirrel Tribe. So, this is very interesting to me. Kamala Harris has resulted to straight up ripping off Donald Trump's platform because she doesn't have her own, which we have talked about numerous times. She's now saying, get this, no tax on tips, which Trump's been saying for months. Total fraud. Why doesn't she do that now? Which is the question that Nick Sorter was asking over on X. And I want you guys to hear this, if I can get it to play. Let's see. Wait.
For service and hospitality workers.
Okay, number one, I don't know what a hospitality worker is. I've never heard of a hospitality worker in my entire life. But number two, stealing Donald Trump's platform literally says everything you need to know about Kamala Harris. The fact that she has no platform of her own to stand on, and she knows that the no tax on tips and the no tax for hospitality workers and anybody who gets taxed, like Donald Trump said for the last few months, whether it's for, Uber or Lyft, or it's for the any kind of tip for restaurant workers, bartenders, anything that requires a tip to basically make a living. He has said for months he would not tax tips. And now, because Kamala Harris has literally nothing of her own to stand on, she has decided to take that for herself. What's interesting, though, is that she keeps talking about how she's going to bring prices down, bring inflation down, get the economy where it needs to be. And it's like, ma'am, you've had almost 4 years to get that done. Why are you waiting until you're president to start on it? Why aren't you doing something right now in the White House? Why have you stopped doing your vice presidential duties to focus on becoming president? Why do you have taxpayers paying for your plane flights from point A to point B on the presidential plane when you should be funding that yourself out of the money you have raised or out of your own pocket? It should not be up to taxpayers like myself to pay for you to go out and campaign to be the next president. That's not how it works. We're not paying for Donald Trump. Donald Trump is taking his own plane, his plane that he's had for, it was either 11, 12, or 13 years. He's had it for a very long time. But we as taxpayers are not paying for him to fly to places. He is doing that on his own. So why are we as taxpayers paying for Kamala Harris to get from point A to point B to go steal Donald Trump's platform to try to win votes? It is absolutely ridiculous to me that this is where we're at, and this is the person that they want to put in place as the president of the United States. Somebody who has no thoughts of her own, no mind of her own, no opinions of her own, no policies of her own. And the ones that she does have of her own, her opinions and her thoughts and whatever, are all just absolute batshit crazy. We all know that for a fact. She has no ground at all to stand on when it comes to what she's doing. Even Colin Rugg has posted over here on X. VP Kamala Harris takes Donald Trump's no tax on tips plan and shares it as at her own during her Las Vegas rally, which, in case people didn't know, is exactly where Donald Trump decided the no tax on tips after he had a conversation with a waitress while he was in Las Vegas. So the irony of the location and the stealing of his idea is absolutely not lost on me. And for some reason, though, it seems to be lost on the Democrats. You have now the left side going, well, if you're against Kamala doing no tax on tips, does it mean that you only want no tax on tips because it's a winning point for Trump? And do you not actually care about servers and hospitality workers? Because if you did, then you would love the fact that she's also got it on her platform. And I think that's ignorant. Yes, I believe that it is a good thing that she wants to do no tax on tips, sure. But I do not think that should be something she is pushing as her platform right now, given the fact that she knows, and her whole entire little group of cronies know, that that's a Donald Trump position. Like, that is what he has been talking about for months. Let me see if I can get this to play here, because we don't really care about listening to Kamala again. Let's see.
To destroy Social Security.
Look.
I am going to leave Social Security. I'm not raising the years. I'm not raising the age. I will be saving Social Security.
Yes.
And I'm going to work it out that there's no tax on Social Security for seniors.
Which is
I'm
great.
Also doing no tax on tips. No tax on tips. So waiters, waitresses, caddies, people that drive cars, people that get tips who have been harassed by this government, we're going to have no tax on tips. That's a
and he's
thing.
been saying that for months. This was actually, that video is from the not, I keep wanting to call it a debate, but I don't know really what it's called, like a briefing, I guess, that he did at Mar-a-Lago a few days ago live that not a lot of people knew about. That's where he mentioned that. He's mentioned it numerous times before. The Las Vegas rally that Kamala Harris had was days after that speech from Donald Trump. So again, to rip off somebody because you don't have your own platform to stand on does not really give me any sort of confidence in her as a president to begin with, right? That I think that is something that people need to keep in mind, that if she has nothing of her own to say right now, what's going to happen when she's in the office? How is she going to steal things from people at that point in time? Because we know she's going to have to try, because she does not have her own ground to stand on. Now, this is what's interesting to me. This is from Dom Lucre. He posted over on X that hundreds of attendees at the Kamala Harris and Tim Walz rally in Las Vegas are leaving during Kamala's speech. You can see a bunch of people walking out there. And of course, people will say, well, how can you prove that this isn't the end of it, that this is people walking out during? If this was the end of it, there would have been more people. She did have a decent amount of people at the Las Vegas rally. There's videos going around where it looks like it's empty, and that is, of course, because it's everybody coming in. There are videos that I've seen from people who were at the rally where it definitely looks like there were a lot more people there. But this is clearly people leaving during it. I mean, this rally was already underperforming compared to her last two, according to this post. The interesting part here is that this is a reoccurring statement that we're hearing from a lot of people, that once the rally has started or once Kamala has come out on stage, people have left. Same thing happened in Atlanta. Once Meg Thee Stallion was done performing, people got up and left. Could be for numerous reasons. Could be because they weren't expecting that at a possible presidential candidate's rally. They weren't expecting Meg Thee Stallion to come out and twerk on stage, right? So some people may have left from that. I'm sure you guys have seen the videos of some people who were just like, what in the hell is going on here? So people may have left because of that. Other people left because maybe they didn't like what Kamala had to say, because she is word salad queen. She doesn't say anything. She talks in circles and then laughs at her own circle talk, because I can't even call it jokes, because nothing she says is funny, yet she cackles like a freaking hyena no matter what. It's a little disturbing, and I can just imagine her trying to have a serious conversation with any leader of any country. And then the question comes in, the same question I had when Hillary Clinton was running for president. How does this work with the Middle East? How does this work with countries that see women as subpar, subhuman? How does this work when our president needs to go over and speak to their president or dictator or whatever they call people in different countries? How is that going to work? They would never talk to her or see her. We would never be able to have the meetings that might need to be had depending on what situation we are in or they are in or the world is in. And I think that's very important to think about, that you need somebody that other leaders will talk to, will take seriously. Will get my iPad to work. Let's see, is this the one? Yes. So this one I thought was very interesting. Let me see if I can get this to play and you guys can hear it.
I'm also a mother of 3 beautiful adult children, and they are all teachers like me.
This is for Tim Walz, by the way.
Growing up, I always knew I wanted to be a teacher because I saw education for what it really was. The greatest instrument of social justice in this country.
I don't think that elementary school or middle school is where we need to be worried about social justice. I don't think that that's the greatest tool for social justice in this country. And the fact that that's what Tim Walz and people for him are pushing is a little disturbing to me, because right now, if you want to break it down, again, if my iPad would do iPad things, come on now. Y'all know how this works. Every once in a while it goes, meh. All right. So what are the 3 types of social justice? Just out of curiosity, I looked it up. Human rights. A just society protects everyone's basic human rights. Okay. Access. A just society provides access to essentials without restrictions based on factors like gender, race, class, etc. Participation. A just society encourages everyone to have their voices heard. Now, here's the problem. They are taking social justice and they are using it to convince you that your gender does not matter, that you can be any gender you want to be. And then they're going with participation and saying any gender can participate as whatever gender they want, wherever they want. And that is the problem. They are using social justice right now on the left side to destroy male and female, to destroy boys and girls, to destroy what is biologically, scientifically, religiously, if you want to throw it all in there, known and proven as fact. A boy has XY chromosomes, a girl has XX chromosomes, I'm pretty sure I got that one right. A boy does not have a pelvis that can push a child out. A girl has a pelvis that can push a child out. At the end of your life, when you are dead and gone and been buried and they dig up your bones, they will look at the pelvis and go, that was a man, that was a woman. They're not going to care that that man decided that he wanted to wear a dress and, you know, play tuck and hide with his junk and put some lipstick on and prance around and call himself Betty. They're not going to care about that because that's not actual, factual, real. That's not real. There's nothing real about that. That is make-believe, and that is an extended game of dress up. That is an extended game of make-believe or mental disillusionment? Mental disillusionment? I might be making up words right now. I'm not even going to lie. I feel like disillusionment is a word, but when I try to spell it in my brain, maybe it's not. Whatever. Y'all know exactly what I'm trying to say. The problem here is when you have Tim Walz saying that there's 150,000 trans children in the school system, which he mentioned at one of the rallies with him and Kamala Harris. I don't know if he was meaning in Minnesota itself, which is a whole heck of a lot of kids that you guys have convinced are confused about their sexuality or their gender, not even sexuality, or if he's talking about in the entire country. If it's the entire country, again, why are we pushing so hard? Why are we pushing so hard to let boys wear dresses and play tuck and hide and join girls' sports? Why is this a thing? It will never make sense to me. Why are we not instead having sit downs with the parents and the children and trying to figure out why this mental issue is going on, trying to figure out what's making these children believe that they are in the wrong body? Because at 4, I have a almost 15-year-old. At one point in time, she wanted to be, a unicorn. Guess what? She can't be a unicorn because she's a girl. And we had that conversation, honey, I love you so much and unicorns are amazing. But unfortunately, you are a girl. You will always be a girl. You can't be a unicorn. It's just not how it works. Look at your girl parts and look at the fact you don't have a horn, you don't have a tail, you don't have hoofs. And then she was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just pretend. And we played, dress up and whatever else. And then she was still a girl at the end of the day. These other parents, though, their kid comes home and says, I want to be a girl, blah, 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 or I want to be a boy, or I want to be a cat, or I want to be a dog. And these parents go, that's a great idea. You can be anything you want to be, son/daughter. And then they give into the delusion without explaining the difference between delusion and reality. And then you end up with the people that we have here in 4th grade in schools that need tampons in the boys' bathroom because girls with vaginas are going into the boys' bathroom thinking that they're going to stand up and hold a penis and pee like a boy because that's what they think they are because their parents have allowed them to think that way. That's not how this works. That is not how any of this works. And the fact that this is such a standing talking point for the left to get votes is very disturbing to me. It's extremely disturbing to me that is how our society, how far our society has allowed mental illness to go, right? They wanted to defund the police. Remember, the left wanted to defund the police because they thought that they needed more mental health officers out there when police officers were responding to issues, because they know mental health is an issue. And they say you shouldn't just shoot. You should talk to these people that are brandishing weapons and whatever else, or doing these crazy things, because it's mental health and they shouldn't be arrested, shot, whatever. We need more mental health people, less actual police officers. But then on the flip side, you say, hey, my son is having a mental health issue where he thinks he's a girl and he refuses to go by his name and he's wearing dresses and makeup. And, he's talking about how he could have a period and how a bulge doesn't make him a man, that all women should accept the bulge in their pants and whatever else. Why then do they not go, hey, listen, we need to call in a mental health specialist? Instead, they go, oh, we should go change their names. We should send them to a doctor, let them, physically mutilate this child so that this child feels better about themselves. Please explain to me how people are missing that. I mean, you can't say one is bad and the other's good. They're both mental illnesses, and yet you have the left trying to push the approval and the agreement of these mental illnesses. And I don't understand. It does not make sense to me. As a mother of a child, it does not make sense to me. And you have to look at what J.D. Vance said. He said childless cat ladies. And he meant it in a sense of not, you know, if you're older and you have cats, that you're a horrible person. Or if, you know, you weren't able to bear children, there's something wrong with you. That is not at all what he said. It was completely taken out of context because that's what the left likes to do. Take little snippets, run with it, and, you know, pepper it with some fake stuff and whatever else. What he was saying is, why are people who do not have children for whatever reason, he's not putting anybody down for not having children, that would just be stupid, but why are people who do not have children the ones that are sitting there making rules on what happens to a child's body, or what is right or wrong with them mentally, and what happens to the family if the parents don't allow their child to just completely be mentally incorrect. I don't really know the right word to say there. Why are these people the ones deciding these issues? They have no skin in the game. They have nothing to look back on and go, I made a wrong decision. Look what happened to my child. They have no skin in the game. They should not be allowed to determine what happens to your child or mine if they do not have kids or somebody else that could be affected by their decisions. And I fully agree with J.D. Vance on that, just so we're all fully aware. This other thing that was here, again, you know, this iPad is doing iPad things. Side note, look like a whole bag of trash right now because today is the first day of high school for my daughter. So just dropped her off, super excited for her. She got out of the car, happy, smiles, laughing, ready to go in and start the day with the school that she's at, which is a charter school. She's super excited and I'm excited for her, but there was the making of lunch, the getting the kid up, the walking the dog, things like that. So, you know, we are what we are. This is the one I wanted to show you. This is the one I wanted to show you. Actually, I'm off. I was supposed to show you a different one earlier. Please hold on. So after I showed you the Kamala talking about no tax on tips, I meant to show you this one. Because Kamala actually cast the deciding vote to tax your tips, just so we're all fully aware. Let me let you hear this, if it'll play. Go up volume. Oh, pushing the wrong button.
Biden seems intent on taking your earnings hostage. Now, the IRS, they just announced this week that they want to start tracking all of the tips that workers earn so that they can be taxed for it. So much for Biden's sacred promise not to raise taxes on anyone making less than $400,000 a year. Remember, this is all part of Biden's so-called Inflation Reduction Act.
The yeas are 50, the nays are 50. The Senate being equally divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative, and the bill, as amended, is passed.
Kamala Harris was the deciding vote under the Biden administration on if tips would be taxed. That was up to her. And she voted yay. She voted to tax tips for American workers. And now that she wants to run for president and she sees that Donald Trump has that as his platform, she goes, oh shit, maybe I should use that too. And they will forget that I was the deciding vote on what has screwed people over for the last few years, on what has cost Americans more of their hard-earned money, on why people are tipping less now because they know that there's no point. Listen, the woman is a con artist at best. And she, as everybody calls her, she is a chameleon. I started this thing yesterday by accident. I said crickets for Kamala because I was talking about the fact that her Secret Service broke into a salon and tried to, you know, hide it and play it off. But all the video evidence came out. If you haven't seen it, watch yesterday's video. It's very intriguing and interesting. But I said, you know, if Donald Trump had done this, they would have been screaming from the rooftops. But, you know, you get crickets for Kamala. And that's kind of what it is. Whenever I hear her speak and she comes out with something, I'm like, it's crickets to me because she's not really saying anything. And when she does say something like this, like, you know, no tax on tips, the left side, crickets from them. They're not jumping on her going, hey, ma'am, maybe you should find your own platform or your own policies to push right now. They go, oh, Kamala, that's a great idea. I wish somebody had thought of it sooner. Well, you dumbasses, Trump thought of it sooner. And Kamala's the whole reason why he had to think of it because she voted it in that there would be tax on tips. What twilight zone are we living in where people cannot put 2 and 2 together to get 4? That's all I really want to know. Dude, just batshit crazy people running around. But this one, listen, this is Biden telling you exactly what happened. Listen. If I can get this.
The polls we had showed that it was a neck and neck race. Would have been down to the wire. But what happened was a number of my Democratic colleagues in the House and Senate thought that I was going to hurt them in the races. And I was concerned if I stayed in the race, that would be the topic. You'd be interviewing me about why did Nancy Pelosi say, why did so, and I thought it'd be a real distraction. What's your favorite curse word?
So what we just heard there was that the coup was planned, that they took Joe Biden out on purpose. Nick Sorter posted this. Why is the mainstream media radio silent after the president just admitted on national TV that he was a victim of a coup? That's what it's called, C-O-U-P, coup. They're clearly in on it. This is insanity. And he named Nancy Pelosi, which we've talked about numerous times, that Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama were working together to get Joe Biden out, to push Kamala in. It has been said and shown and stated that Barack Obama is the one who's pushing the Kamala Harris whole entire agenda right now. Her whole entire campaign is being not funded, that's the wrong word, but being orchestrated by Barack Obama. Hello? Mainstream media? Nothing? Crickets for Kamala? Once again? Just out of curiosity? Crickets with a K. That way it looks, crickets with a K, Kamala with a K. It's more visually appealing that way. Anyway, the fact that, one, I did not know that Biden was speaking anywhere. There was no big to do about it. They didn't want you to know, but heaven forbid that they were quiet when he came back from COVID. They were super loud about the fact that, oh, look at him getting out of a car. Look at him walking up the stairs to the plane. Look at him. He's in the Oval Office right now and he's great. That's not Biden, number one. But they didn't say anything. They didn't say anything about this whole thing where he said, basically, they kicked me out because they were worried about what me being in office would do for them. We were neck and neck. He was saying he and Trump were neck and neck. There was the possibility that Biden could win, but the Democrats didn't want that. They wanted him out. So a coup was formed, done. And I don't know what a coup is. Is it done? I don't know. Whatever. So there was a coup. Biden is gone. They have plucked in Kamala Harris, who literally has no legal right or reason to be there, so we're all fully aware, and nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about it. I saw a thing today that said, they put up a picture of Trump where he's like serious, right? And they put up a picture of Kamala where she's cackling, because that's what she does. Cackling Kamala, crickets for Kamala. There's so many things we could do here. But they said, do you want a sad and angry next 4 years? And they have Trump like this. Or do you want a happy and joyful 4 years? And they've got, Kamala, whatever, for the next 4 years. They're making it seem like somebody's face in that moment is going to determine what the next 4 years is. If that's the case, I would still rather pick Trump's face over Kamala's for the next 4 years. Nothing about her screams security and competence and just anything that instills any kind of comfort in the thought of her being a president. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But I think it's important that we all know exactly what's going on. She is stealing Donald Trump's policies. She is forgetting to mention the fact that she had to steal it because she's the one who made it so that it needed to be done, made, whatever. Joe Biden admitted there was a coup. These are things that need to be remembered and talked about. So I'd like to know your thoughts on everything we just saw here. It's very interesting to me, very interesting. We're going to talk about the photoshopped tarmac flight later, because there is proof that shit is not real, no matter what the left is trying to make you believe right now. Remember, believe half of what you see and none of what you hear, because they're like magicians. You're like, how did they do that? Well, sometimes if you dig hard enough and you look hard enough, you can find out exactly how they did it. So I'll show that to you later. But right now I'm going home to make breakfast for my husband and myself because I'm hungry. Listen, Squirrel Tribe, I love y'all immensely. I will see you again later. Until then, have a fabulous first part of your day. Goodbye.